Well, let's go back to the plane trip when we first landed in Raleigh, Durham. The moment the wheels hit the tarmac, both of our hearts just said, we're home. That was very cool. The next thing was coming with JJ driving down the freeway. Who's a very good driver, coming to Greenville, and we had to miss Wilson this time, which was new for us. I said, oh, we don't go through Wilson anymore. And then landing and getting here, and then getting a chance to meet with the committee yesterday, which I now have to give thanks to that group of Chancellor Ballard, Coach Holland, Nick Floyd, Jimmy Bass, Lee Workman, Mr. Lucas, our trustee, Rosie Thompson Small, who I still think can post a lot of people up right now, and Colester Crumple, the senior, who I'm gonna try to change numbers and get him to play this year too, so that's for the group. For that group doing their due diligence. And they worked hard. I know it was a trying process for the whole Pirate Nation and our family. And their due diligence I know was appreciated, and I'm glad they picked me. Thank you. I'm honored, humble, excited to become your next football coach. It's a dream come true for an East Carolina boy. This is my alma mater. It's an easy sell. I don't have to go to the academic office, which I will use and will get very tight, but I don't need anyone to tell me about the academic excellence here at East Carolina. I'm a witness. My wife is a witness. She got her master's degree. My brother graduated from here. My sister-in-law graduated from here. My brother-in-law graduated. So we have a lot of ties to Greenville and East Carolina and this university. And I can't begin to repeat how honored I am to be your next coach. This is my destination job. Let's get it out front right now. This is not a stepping stone hop for Ruff. This is where I want to be until y'all tote me away from here. You can have to drag me away. But I plan on being here a long time. We plan on being here a long time. I plan on being around you a long time. And I am so happy to be back into Pirate Nation and be a part of our family. But this is a destination job for me. Let's make sure that's very clear. And I'm looking forward to the challenge. I was asked about the challenge. It's fun. This is a fun challenge. You know, there's nothing intimidating or hard about this at all. This last month for myself and my wife have been pretty trying. Probably just like the whirlwind Pirate Nation has gone through. Probably exactly like that. This month for Erlene and I would say was the most challenging month in my life. I know in my coaching life. The night we won the Alamo Bowl was one of the most rewarding nights in my coaching life. Yesterday, given the honor and privilege to have a chance, an opportunity to be a part of this great university, which we are a part of, all of us here today, and I'm a part of, was the most rewarding, honorable time. If you can imagine yesterday when I finally got the news and says, you're in, I locked myself down and chained it down, and now I'm not going anywhere. My next job and my primary job will consist of two things. The first one is going to be service. I want that really understood by me. And that service means first to our university in whatever means or way they need me, and they need us. The next thing will be to our football program and those kids who we met last night, and I got a chance to love them up, hug them up, which you probably can tell I'm gonna do that quite a bit. But we also set some standards and some expectations among us too as a group. Also be a service to the community, the city of Greenville, to our alumni, to our great alums, and to Pirate Nation. My first job is to be of service to you. The next one, and I've asked the team, your team, and our coaches will be asked the same thing. What can I do today to make sure I better East Carolina University? What is Ruff doing today to better East Carolina University? What are we doing today to better East Carolina University? That's my second job. Service is the first one, and always asking myself every day, what can I do, what can we do to better East Carolina University? Those are my first two primary jobs. There are some goals that I know, and there'll be some things we'll talk about, but the first goal is to maintain, create, and keep academic excellence. Again, I'm a witness to graduating, being a graduate, and being a graduate of while playing football. It can be done, it will be done, and it will be expected here, nothing less, because I always say this, if I can do it, I know everyone can do it. We have a great academic structure set up in place for us to achieve academically. I just left a place that when we first got there was one of the worst in the country, and by the time we left, we had one of the top graduation rates in the country. So academic is a major part. Besides that, my mom, if she was living, and my dad would spank me if I did not. And my dad still can whoop me right now. So, Dad, I promise I'm pushing academics, Dad. The next one is to win championships. I mean, that's what you get in it for. And that's why I'm here. I'm not coming to a place who has not won championships. Let's don't misunderstand that. But I come here, and we talked last night about that's our major goal, to win championships. Continue to compete. Let's go to another level. Let's keep reaching that. And that'll come with your help, get on a recruiting trail, which I'm gonna have to take off here pretty soon and do that. But in doing that, I'm gonna assure Pirate Nation that we're gonna look for the player and the right player to get on our bus here at East Carolina. He's gonna have to have the right it. And we're looking for talented kids, don't get me wrong. But there's also gonna be some other intangible things that will also be included in that. So in our recruiting trail, we want the right people on the bus to achieve those things we want to do academically and championship-wise. And we asked the team that last night, and I asked the team that last night. One of the things that was brought up, and I'll wind this up, and I know there's probably some questions y'all want to ask probably, huh? Probably, okay. Y'all can say yeah, okay. Trust, commitment, and caring. Those things will be our base pillars, our foundation. I believe our foundation is already built on rock. It is not built on sand here. That's why it's able to withstand any kind of storm that's brought before it. I really believe that. But trust, commitment, and caring are be three things that I'll base our players and who is on that bus, and our staff, who right now we're in the process of trying to assimilate a great staff and getting the right men on that bus too to lead those guys. We asked them a couple of things last night. I'm letting you on some inside information, keep it between us. That's impossible. We asked the kids, and this is what I want done, is to at all times be a professional. And what I ask them and everything I ask them will be something they can use on the field and off the field. Let's conduct ourselves as a professional. I really didn't ask them, it was more of a demand, in a nice way, but it was more of a demand. The second thing was I demanded was make sure we're an adult. At all times be an adult. The third thing I asked them was a twofold thing. Let's always conduct ourselves in a classy manner and a championship-style manner. Those things were emphasized last night to the group. We started our initial conversations last night, and I looked in those guys' eyes. I got goosebumps. We hugged, and I tried to chest bump, and my vertical's about that much right now, so I don't get up too high. And we had some hugs and squeezes, and I'm looking forward to finishing up this great recruiting class, getting back in the office, and getting to off season, getting around these kids and hugging them up, and let's get to work. And I'm looking forward to that. This is a challenge, I know that. I'm looking forward to the challenge. And I promise them I'm gonna work them hard. And I promise the recruits I'm gonna work them hard. But I also promise our current players, which is our family right now, which is the most important thing we had to do when I was named yesterday, was get a hold of our current players and our current recruits who have committed. That was the second thing we had to do, was get to know those guys. And I spoke with every one of them last night. The ones that are here, we spoke in the meeting, and the ones that are in the process of getting here, we spoke on the phone. And I promised them I will work you hard. That's one thing here our kids have always done here in East Carolina, is work hard. They know that is not new to them. But also promise them I'm gonna love them hard too. And I promise the parents of our current players, and I'm gonna write each one and touch base with each one, and I promise the recruits that are to come and this year and the ones in the future, and to us and to Pirate Nation, that I take this part very seriously for me. When I say I love the kids, I love the kids. But I also know, because I have two beautiful girls, and Olivia, who's at Appalachian State, who is ecstatic, and my oldest daughter, Renata, who's in Greensboro, who is even more ecstatic. The 29-year-old acts like she's 19, the 19 acts like she's 29. But they're happy we're back in state. I promise the parents of our current players, recruits, and future recruits, I'll really take this next thing serious. I promise to take care of their most prized possession. I know how special that possession is to them. And I take a lot of pride, and I will put forth a lot of effort in making sure that prized possession, who I'm gonna love from head to toe and toe to head every day. Doesn't mean I'm not gonna push them. Doesn't mean every conversation will be a nice and friendly one. But it'll be with love, expectations, and demands from myself to them. Again, this has been the most rewarding day for my wife and myself. Erlene and my wife, she's my better 3/4. I've really outpunted my coverage. My better 3/4, my 1/4, I understand all that. She is my rib. Again, to Chancellor Ballard, Coach Holland, Nick, Jimmy, Lee, Mr. Lucas, Rosie, and Crump, I thank you for choosing me. Glad to be here. Thank you. I know there'll be some questions. Make sure you state your name, please, and your affiliation.
Coach, Troy Wright, Pirate Radio, 1259 First of all,
now, you said that fast. Slow it down now. You know, hey, you know I'm country as a roaring corn. No, that's okay. We can slow this thing down.
Troy Wright, Pirate Radio, 1259.
Okay, all right.
Congratulations.
No, thank you very much.
Is Bruce officially on the staff? Can you make that announcement?
Right now, it's a work in progress. Lincoln Riley, who we coached together with for 7 years at Texas Tech, he called the game that night in the Alamo Bowl. The Texas Tech offense that I know, I feel comfortable with, that I've been a part of trying to defend the last 10 years, and I know what it can do and know what it will take us to. Lincoln Riley will be our offensive coordinator. Right now he'll be in, he's on his way in, and he'll be joining the staff here pretty quickly. The rest of the staff right now, I'm in the middle of forming that, but I promise you it'll be a staff that you'll be proud of.
And if you could just talk about the process from 1 week ago when you heard this job was open to how you got here today, how you made contact, or they made contact with you, and what was going on behind the scenes?
Not really behind the scenes. Coach Holland and I had great conversation. He understood what Erlene and I had been through with the Alamo Bowl week, the interview process there. So we had a really open dialogue, and we had some things going on as a group of job choices as well out there before this. But God has a plan, and man's plan, and I believe that. Well, Coach called and invited Erlene and I up, so we got on the plane. That's what I mentioned when I first started my little speech, and we landed and went through an interview process, and we shared some thoughts, philosophies, and beliefs. And when they offered, See, coaches don't cry, our eyeballs sweat. Now that is not crying. So if anybody says I'm crying, we have a discussion. So I didn't really cry, but my eyeballs are sweating quite a bit. So.
Coach, Brian Bailey, WNCT over here.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
What was the most important thing you think that you told the committee that you think you sold it on? Because the word is you knocked the socks off in the interview, and that's why you're here today. But what was the most important thing you told them?
You know, the first thing that is sort of like 30 minutes before the team meeting at the Alamo Bowl, I was told there was an ox in the ditch, and you got to pull it out. I'm going, you got 30 minutes to tell the team and the rest of the coaches that you're leading the group into the bowl week. The first thing I told myself, to be honest with you, was the one person I know I do well is me, so make sure I'm myself. So I may have notes to remind me of bullet points, but I'm not good at following a script. You'll probably pick up on that pretty quick. And I was just myself and what I believe in and what I prepared for really for 29 years of coaching. And it was not a hard sell for me to come back to a place that really the reason Erlene and I together is our East Carolina ties, and I can go on and on about that, but everything was off the heart, from the heart, and I think that's when we connected.
Coach Nathan Summers from the Daily Reflector. You've had a long week, obviously, leading up to this, but you've got a probably even longer one coming up. Can you, in a very generalized kind of way, talk about what are some of the first things that you have to do here just in these next maybe 5 to 7 days that are vital to getting started?
The first thing we accomplished last night, and the very first objective was to meet with the current players. I've been a part of some transitional staffs where we were first on the block and maybe the coach had left for one reason or another. And I put myself in their place. I knew there was probably a little nervousness by the kids. And another group that's been left out who was probably nervous were our players' parents. You know, you forget about those. The players are important, but those parents are those players. So the first thing I want to do is make sure I address that group. Let them know, hey, we're okay. I got the keys to the ship, and it's a fancy ship. It's not the one you steer now. We have a little set of keys that JJ gave me my keys today, so I got keys to the office. But the first thing I would do was meet the players. The second thing I felt was very important because the recruiting that we have to do here, and I take recruiting very serious, and I think that's the lifeline of the program, was get on the phone with those guys that we have committed. Next week, it'll be see how many planes I can catch, see how many different hotels I can stay in, and see how many times I have to sprint from one gate to the next gate to make the next flight. So that's what next week will be like and through signing day.
Coach, Denny O'Brien, Fire Chest Magazine.
Hey,
You
Denny.
just mentioned recruiting. Do you have maybe outside of North Carolina in terms of your recruiting philosophy? I know you have a lot of ties to the state of Texas being there so long. Is that an area you might look at in terms of recruiting, or what will your overall regional philosophy be?
My home, my house, I still have my room, is in Lumberton, North Carolina. I'm from North Carolina. This will always be our primary recruiting area. That's what the exciting part. I know how to get around this in a car. Won't need a plane. In Texas, I needed a plane to hop back and forth. You go from one side of the state to the other. I said, how big is this state? But our primary will be the same areas we've hit for years around here. North Carolina being the most central, then heading up north to the Virginia areas, to D.C., South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. Now, I know from my relationships I've built from those guys in Texas, I'm sure there'll be some calls, and one of their, and I hope so. I think the relationship is great. They'll call, and there may be a kid over there that wants to come play for the Pirate Nation. We'll look at him pretty good, especially if he's a big old fast one, you know. So, but our primary area will be North Carolina, as always, and we'll hit the surrounding areas.
Coach Billy Weaver from WIT and Brandon Harrison. First of all, a lot has changed about the university, the athletic facilities since you played here. First of all, what are your thoughts on what you see out this window right here? And secondly, have you thought ahead enough to think about what it's going to feel like your first time running out in Downey Stadium?
I'll date my age. I saw scales, and I started going scales yesterday to go to the locker room. I'm going, I am old. And it's amazing, but not surprising, of what can be accomplished here at East Carolina University. This is a special place. It is a destination job for me. I see the building, I see the construction going on. I know what kind of fans we have. I've had a chance to make a few plays in front of our fans. I've had a chance from afar, Lee and I have to watch our fans and our football team here. Made it tough getting back and forth because of our season intertwined where we were coaching at the time. But I understand the loyalty, enthusiasm that we have here in Pirate Nation. That is no secret to everyone. When they come play in that stadium, it's going to be an enter at your own risk type of deal. We can't guarantee how you'll come out of here after this game. And I'm not bragging on what we'll do. I'm just telling them I know how fans would be. So enter at your own risk, please. And I'm anxious to get around and see how, get back to that noise I've heard and watched it on television, but I'm anxious to be able to lead the team out and just be a part of it. It's going to be a we deal. It's not an I deal. And from administration to our coaching staff, to our support staff, to our team, it's us running out on that field. And to our nation. I want everybody to know that. Thank you.
Coach Mark Lindsay with PirateIllustrated.com. Welcome back to Greenville.
Thank you. Thank you.
I remember when you were a player here, and I know you want to convey to those who don't remember what those times were like and what was expected in terms of the ball game.
First, I found out what size Coach Dye's shoe was. It was Riddell at the time, and I think he wore a size 12. Matter of fact, I'm positive he wore a size 12. Having a chance to, being recruited when Coach came into our house, he came into my house and my mom was cooking collard greens, which by the way, we get some real collard greens here now in North Carolina. He came in the house and the first thing he says, Miss McNeill, are those collards I smell? Yes, they are. Can I have some? I go, this guy has my mom already in 2 words. Well, we liked him, my dad and I, we visited with Coach, and I committed to him on the visit, and once I committed, I started getting hit up by a lot of schools. It was SMU at that time, South Carolina, a lot of other schools. And I told my dad, well, Dad, I'm gonna take a visit. SMU's sending a private plane here to pick me up. So here I am, old country boy. Country's a row of corn, there's a dozen of eggs, and they're sending a private plane to pick me up? Oh, Dad, I gotta get on that thing. He said, you're not taking a step. You gave your commitment to Coach Dye, and a man doesn't have much but his word and what he's known for. And that's where we're going. It was the best decision I ever made in my life was coming here. And then the pleasure of having a chance to do two things that I want to make sure I continue here is graduate and win and graduate. I had a chance to do that while I was here. And that was the most rewarding part. The relationships and camaraderie we had with the former teammates who I know will be back in the fold. I'm looking forward to those guys too. So great time here and great experience for me.
Hey, Coach, how you doing? It's Brian from the Washington Daily News.
Hey, Brian.
Just wanted to know if you had a deadline for when you would get your staff in place and how many candidates do you have up for the defensive coordinator job?
The offensive coordinator has already been set, Lincoln Riley. He'll be running our offense we ran at Texas Tech. A lot of people know about Coach Leach, but for 10 years I faced an offensive genius, so I understand how this thing works. The rest of the staff, I'm in the process of contact of making sure everything's right. My whole purpose is making sure not only player-wise getting the right people on the bus, but coaching-wise getting the right people driving and riding in that bus too with them. So we won't move quite as quick because I want to make sure they're right, but I have names in place of guys that I know, guys that are in place here. These guys have been talked to as well. So we'll let that work out. The biggest thing right now for me is to get on the road and get in every kid's home and every young man's home to meet their parents this week. And then we'll have a chance maybe here in the next week or so, but we'll follow up on that with you, if that's okay.
Coach, Jeff Dunn from 107.9 WNCT, you're like an old friend coming back since we were
Thank
in
you.
school together.
Thank you, brother.
Back in the 70s. I'm actually a year older than you.
Oh, you don't look like it at all. You look
Did
good.
you have coaching aspirations when you were here as a player?
Once, talking about last year, my dad said if I was a coach, he'd hang me. He said, well, one thing, God takes care of coaches, fools, and babies, and you 2 of the 3. So I said, okay, Daddy, thanks for the encouragement, Pops. So does that mean you don't think I need to go into coaching? He says, no. Anyway, when I finished, I went immediately into high school coaching, and I've been blessed at every stop. I've been around a bunch of great coaches, and I've just tried to make sure I've done my best, and you learn from each experience. I don't regret any experience. I appreciate all, but coaching is what I do, and when I say coach, I say teach. I think my role will be to teach and demand. Now, and we addressed this last night. The players' roles will be to prepare and perform. And I think that was defined last night in our meeting. So I'm looking forward to teaching and demanding and being a part of continued success and to the next level of success here.
Ruffin, Sammy down at Fayetteville.
What's up, Bat? How you doing, boy?
Just want to know, is it true that you really owe your career to a guy named Mitchell Strickland who you ran down and Coach Dye saw you on the field and offered you a scholarship? And also, what was your dad's reaction to all this?
First, it was sort of slow. I thought I was doing pretty good on the team, and a lot of guys I knew were getting contacted by universities, and I didn't have many letters. And we were playing Sanford, and Mitchell was a top running back, and I think had already committed to a place that my wife has an undergraduate degree, which we still love her, but we won't mention that name. And but he was getting ready to attend that school. We were losing probably, Batman, you remember, it was probably 40-something to 14. It was out of range, and anyway, I got a chance to run him down. If Mitchell denies it, we got film, brother. We'll tell you, I ran him down. So, and I guess they were watching Mitch and Coach Dye, and this is how things work. He said, well, who is that guy running him down? And I couldn't run him down now, but I could talk him down. But anyway, he saw me, he saw that. And then everything started happening once everybody knew East Carolina was in the mix. The next thing, my dad talking to him, and again, coaches don't cry, their eyeballs sweat, and he's an old coach, and I would say his eyeballs sweated quite a bit yesterday. Thanks, Sammy.
Coach, Sean Stinson with the Robinson. Has your head stopped spinning since you got offered the position and accepted it?
Most of the time somebody says, well, how you doing? I use a Spanish phrase, todo despacio, or muy despacio. That means very slow motion. That's how I like to move along, and muy despacio, very slow motion. It has been rapido, very rapido here the last couple of days, and it's been a fun speed. It's been a fun mix. You know, you've had a chance to experience those things. We talked yesterday about preparation for this time. When I was an assistant, I had a chance to prepare to be a coordinator. When I became a coordinator, I made sure I tried to gain experience to prepare to be a head coach. And I'm used to having on-the-spur moment things like pulling the ox out of the ditch with about 30 minutes to go before the team meeting. I'm used to that situation. So the excitement and the quick run around and meeting everyone yesterday was the most pleasurable experience of my life. The committee is why I've thanked them twice. Very, very gracious, but at the same time, they had some very tough questions and some very tight items we had to address, and I think I did pretty good on them, you know, so nice to meet you. I've been talking to you on the phone. Yeah, thank you.
Anna Chevins, News Channel 12, Breaking Report.
Hey, you sitting on the floor? Why are you sitting down? Boy, get up and let that girl sit down.
Always
Okay, all right, okay.
Obviously, you have a lot of passion for your team and what you're here to do, but what is it like leaving your team behind?
It was tough, you know, because I get attached to it. You know, everybody said, well, the challenge is not a hard part playing tough competition, the Texas and Oklahoma, that's not hard, that's fun. Taking over the team with 30 minutes before the team meeting and coaching in the game, first game, interim head coach under fire, that's not intimidating. What is the toughest thing about coaching? And that's leaving kids. I get attached to them. I love them, and we feed them as much as we legally can. I mean, she's gonna cook, she's used to cooking. You know, 9/11, we had about 75 kids over to the house eating. So we had about 5 turkeys, about 4 hams, and about, 16 pies and cakes. She's looking at me now, sorry I didn't tell her that many, but we fed a group of kids that day. You know, so to answer your question, there were some really tied in bonds there with those kids, been there 10 years. But I received a few texts. I know how to text just a little bit. I peck it. When I saw Nick doing the same thing today, so I felt pretty good. I know that it was tough, but I know they had to move on with their life. I tried to make sure I stayed out of their direction. I cared so much about them. I was not an interference between the new coach at Texas Tech. I wished him well. I don't want to be in the middle of coach and player. I made sure I stay out of their way. So I love them that much not to interfere with them. I wish them well. How we doing? Y'all look good.
Ruff, Mike Weaver, class of 77. Leander sitting beside me, Jimbo sitting beside me, Coach Hutt sitting beside me, Tony Collins and Doug Smith are here. Way to go. We're proud of you. There's a whole other winners association behind you.
Thank you.
Do whatever you need to do with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Lee. One thing I promised Coach, and I promise you, Weave, and the letter winners and our teammates, because we're all teammates, no matter if we played in the same year, but Weave and Coach Hutt and Leander, we all played around, all of us played together. But I promise you guys and Pirate Nation and Coach, and nobody will outwork us. Nobody will outwork me. Nobody will outwork our staff. And my goal is not let anybody down. And we'll work hard to make sure that happens. And the challenge is fun. And it's exciting to dive into. Weave, good to see you, brother. Good to see y'all. Good to see you, brother. You might put that wishbone in again, Lee. You ready? He can do it. Okay.
I spent $18 at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I know they eat, live, and sleep football where you are from. Now, you were with a smaller school competing against bigger schools like we are here in Greenville, even though our size is as big as they are now. So, what are your priorities in trying and receiving and getting the best recruits against Carolina State, Wake Forest, or what have you in our areas? I know you're looking for character number 1 is what I'm hearing, and you're looking for good athletes number 2. So, is there anything else you're looking for?
You know, there are some roles that will be needed, particularly in this offense, that can fit quarterback, not just him being important, but the offensive line, which I know they've done a great job here. Our receiving core, those guys, you'll notice there'll be specific body type for those receiver groups. And there's a place for a tight end in this offense too, so we have some on board already. Defensive, we're looking for the same thing with character and speed and agility, and we're looking for some honorary characters too. Now, being good people, being good kids, being good men, but when the whistle goes off, we want them to be pretty honorary when we start playing. No, I plan on diving into recruiting very heavily. I take it very seriously. I'll need the help from around the state, which I still have a lot of ties and friends in North Carolina, which we're going to hit hard. I would tell, again, to answer that question, the one thing I can promise that I would treat their most prized possession like they're mine, and from head to toe. I'm gonna push them hard, I'm gonna love them harder. I believe in graduating and winning and graduating here, and we can accomplish a lot of things here at East Carolina.